Flag Day plus 2 days. Hello, hello. It is Sunday here in beautiful OKC. So the last time we talked, right, I had some major drama, mainly self-imposed drama, right? Because I went out, I saw my ex's twin, I drunk emailed my ex. So I go to my surgeon. I get good news from my plastic surgery I had. And then I decided to go get my steps in. So I'm walking at this beautiful park, kind of going down memory lane because it used to be a Shakespeare in the Park place. And I'm like, hey, I remember whenever we came here with some wine and cheese and grapes and yeah. And then guess what? I get an email reply from the ex, y'all. So he sends me a picture of his boat where he and his woman are gonna go floating around the Caribbean. And of course, my first thought is, gosh, I wonder how much she paid for this. Okay, that was kind of uncalled for. So I totally get dreams and I totally get goals. I get that. So, yes, trying to be happy for the son of a bitch for actually attaining his goal, even if he have to use another person's money to get his goal. He's getting his goal. Yay for him. So the first part of his email is explaining, hey, this has been a dream of mine for a lifetime. I've always wanted to be on the high seas and blah, 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 blah. Then the second paragraph addresses my question, do you love her? And he responds with, what is love? It's just a fairy tale. People often search for it and don't find it. Like I asked him point blank, do you love her? That's honestly a yes or no answer. I don't need a whole repertoire over what your idea of love is or isn't. Do you love her? Yes or no? Simple, right? So then the third paragraph says, like, woe has cast shadow on my days. So dramatic. And then he's like, basically he was tortured. He was broken. He says he's given up hope. It's been 7 months since he's been in my presence. And basically he's getting stronger and stronger every day and healing, blah, 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 right? Now let me remind you of something. I knew absolutely nothing about this woman until we got back from Cuba. I didn't know she existed. I didn't know her name. I didn't know where she lived. I knew nothing of this woman. He fucking cheated on me. Not one time, not 2 times. Basically a majority of our relationship. We started dating in February and they met in June and carried on a sexual relationship. And do you want me to tell you what that relationship was? So he worked in the oil field, so he was basically off a week, and that week he was with me most of the time. He basically moved his ass into my place, without a written formal agreement. And then the 2 weeks that he was out in the oil field, she would go to him on location. He would be at these little bitty podunk places in Oklahoma, and she would pay for a hotel room for them. She paid for it. Did I say that? Yeah, she paid for it. When they would go out to dinner, she paid for dinner. She brought him gifts. She bought him shirts, very expensive, like cinched jean shirt thingies. She bought him alcohol. She basically was like a sugar mama. They went and got tattoos on his birthday, and she got the coordinates of their first meeting at the restaurant tattooed on her arm. This was July. Keep in mind, he's dating me. He's calling me his girlfriend. He's basically living with me, paying for everything. He would bring me gifts. He would bring me chocolates. He would bring me basically spoil me like a girlfriend should be spoiled, right? Oh, and another thing, he flew me to Washington in July to go meet his mom, his dad, and his sister. So while my daughter and I were taking a 10-state and 7-day road trip to New England, I find out that they had dinner, and he started complaining to her about his daughter's tuition that was due, and he needed some money. And she said, well, I'll give it to you. How much is it? And he said, no, I can't take that money from you. And then guess what? He texted her the very next day and said, I think I'll take you up on that offer. And she says, how much money do you need? And he said, $3,000. Well, guess what? The next day after she gets him the $3,000, he books our flights to Cuba and all of our Airbnbs. So she basically paid for our trip to Cuba. So that kind of gives you a picture of what their relationship was and what our relationship was. So seeing the email, just kind of like, really? Really? So, but the part of his last email that he sent really kind of pissed me off. So he says, what was not good enough for you is plenty for Cuba Financial Girl. I won't give her a real name. What was not enough for you is plenty for her. So this woman doesn't have a job. She doesn't work. She doesn't have a career. She doesn't have to worry about keeping up with a house. She doesn't have any of that. Mowing lawn, weed eating, all that good stuff that comes with home ownership. And I'm not complaining about any of that because I love my house. But my point is that her one and only focus in life, her family isn't even here. So her one and only focus in life is this man. He is central. He is key to her existence. Like basically, she doesn't have a life if he's not in it. So it is so easy to put somebody up on a pedestal and glorify them and make them just seem like they are so fucking awesome when they're not really fucking awesome because you don't have anything going on in your life. It's easy to do that, and it's easy to focus on this one and only aspect of your life if you have nothing else going on. I am not going to apologize for trying to make someone a better person. And it's not that I'm trying to make someone a better person. I'm trying to push somebody to be better for themselves. I'm not going to apologize for trying to push someone to be a bit healthier person. I'm not going to apologize for someone trying to get someone to exercise. I'm sorry. I am not sorry for any of that. Did I just say I'm sorry, I'm not sorry? So basically, she doesn't think enough of herself to raise the bar. She's okay with substandard. And you know what? That's fine, but don't criticize me for trying to make you a better, stronger, and healthier and happier person. And the funny thing is, I accepted him for what he had to offer and what he had to bring to the table. He had these funky little alien-like feet, and I was okay with that. I mean, in jest, we would talk about it, and I would make fun of him, but I accepted him. He, has no legs and no ass, and I accepted it. He had hair all over, and I accepted it. He had no arm. Well, he had arms. But he was losing his hair. He only had this little tuft here. But I accepted all that. I mean, I was loyal to the son of a bitch. I had so many opportunities that I passed up on, but I did not because I thought we were in a committed relationship. But evidently because I pushed him to be better, because I wanted him to want more out of life, mentally, physically, spiritually, because I did all that, I didn't accept him for who he was, I guess. And apparently what he has to offer her is plenty for her. And let me tell you a few more things about all of this whole situation. Whenever we got back from Cuba and I started talking to her and she was telling me all this stuff, like this woman says, I know everything about you. He told me that you were his best friend. He told me that you were potentially a lesbian. If you knew how much I like sex, you would know that I'm not a lesbian. And I would say things like, okay, gosh, May, what was I doing in May? And she goes, oh, you went camping with your family. She knew everything about me. It was so fucking creepy. I was telling her how. So I saw one picture of them date stamped August the 10th, I think it was. And I said, oh my gosh, that was like 9 days before my mom passed away. My mom died. And she goes, yeah, he sent me a picture of your mom on the ventilator. Like my mom was on hospice. She got kicked out of her assisted living. She got sent over to a nursing home and then she coded and they sent her to the hospital because the hospice people didn't get the DNR order over to the hospital. So I had to get all of that straightened out. It was traumatic. It was horrible. We kept her on the ventilator so everybody could have a chance to come up and say bye to her family and friends. It was a pretty awful situation. So this dude thinks it's okay to send a picture of my dying mom on a ventilator to the other woman that at the time I had no idea who in the hell she was. And I don't even know what the purpose for him doing that was. It floors me still to this day. My mom would never have wanted that information, that picture shared with anybody. She was a prideful, lovely woman when she was in her right state of mind, which was 10 years ago. But still, who fucking does that? Yeah, and then I found out he also complained to this other woman about how I was going through the grieving process after losing my mom. Mind you, I had taken care of her for 10 years. Her mental health declined that whole time. She went from had to get her house ready. I mean, I did so much for this woman and gladly would do it. That's not the point. The point is that you're complaining to somebody because they just lost their mom. Their mom just died and you're complaining about their grieving. Like, he has some kind of mental issues, and I kind of knew it. He had some kind of depression or something, but he would never go get help. He always went to his church and talked to his pastor. I'm sorry, there's a difference between your pastor and an actual mental health professional. So I kind of knew he had issues in that area. But he told her that it was so hard to deal with his own depression. Basically, it was hard to fix himself whenever he was dealing with me and my grief. Are you kidding me? Like, what do you have to be depressed about? Oh my fucking God. I just lost my mom. And you're upset because you have a shitty job that you won't leave because you didn't get a fucking education? So ultimately, I'm so very thankful. Look at that bra showing. So I'm so very thankful he emailed me back because I honestly had just been kind of waiting just because he was emailing me all these months here and there saying he missed me, saying she was never going to be me and she was living in my shadow and things like that. I was kind of hanging on. I was hanging on hoping that he was going to come back. So then reading his email just really kind of boom, woke me the fuck up, really. And yes, I did reply to him because I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I've kind of just been hoping and praying that things would work out between us because he did a lot of good for me. He really did. We adventured so much, and no matter what I asked him to do. He was always there for me. But I guess in reality, you don't need a puppet. You don't want a puppet. You want someone who has varied interests, so you both can learn from each other, right? But I do thank him for his email, and I wrote him back and I said, hey, thank you for your email. Yeah, so in the email, I thanked him for his response. I also try to say, like in my defense, basically in 48 hours after returning from Cuba, I found out that our whole relationship has been a scam. You weren't true to me. You weren't loyal to me. You cheated on me the whole fucking time. And, I really needed time to process that. I was dealing with a sick mom. I was dealing with a dying mom. And there were so many things involved in that you don't even know. Lots of shit. And then I had to deal with that. And I just needed time. I needed time. I needed to heal. Blah, 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 blah. So I did explain that to him. And I said, hey, I understand. I'm too late. I get it. I told him that I didn't agree with the way Cuba financial girl manipulated the situation because, man, she played it perfectly. I mean, she knew exactly what to do to win him over. She knew exactly what to do to get me to completely hate him, and she completely manipulated that whole situation. So hats off to her. I'm just not that kind of woman. I play on a fair playing field, right? So I did tell him that, and I told him to take care of her, and I was like, I know she'll take care of you, so awesome for that. And then, of course, because I'm so nice, I congratulated him on the boat, which, of course, I'm sure she bought. I congratulated him on going for his hopes and dreams because, you know what, that it honestly is a very cool thing. And I hope he learns a lot from it, and I hope he gets out of it exactly what he wanted. But then I got to end on a good note because I'm like, you know what, you're not the only one who's getting your hopes and dreams, right? So I got to tell him about my 360 body lift, y'all, and my arm lift and my new boobs. Woohoo! I got to tell him about my nifty 50 trip to Chile. I got to tell him about my goal of getting out of debt and start planning for my retirement to Costa Rica, y'all. And I got to tell him about getting my dream car that I've always wanted. So basically I just said, in the end we both win, and I wish you well. But I'm done. D-O-N-E. Done.